I'm so immersed in new work right now, and it's such a different. It's so hard. New work is so is revivals, but new work is really hard, and we really need to be conscious of new work and understanding that we are developing this work with this new lens. We're making choices to write things. And so we have to be very conscious of that when you're
Okay, so let me ask
new
you,
work.
let's talk about new work. And let me start with a really crude, ignorant question. New work doesn't really seem to be taking off. We see it try, we see it attempt, we see it great, but you think back to the Guys and Dolls and the South Pacifics and the Phantoms and the this.
Yeah.
The old stuff has this momentum and still has center stage in our kind of consciousness of what music storytelling is. And new work, which we must have, we should have, is not gaining traction.
Well, there's a really strong reason for that.
Why?
Because, not all those shows took off that you mentioned, the Carousels, the Oklahomas. A lot of them were like, no. They had time. They were given time to build. Time.
And we're not giving time to the Evangelines and all the rest of it?
They can't afford it. We have to sell, I mean, theater owners, the Canadian model is very different than, say, like a Broadway model. It's very different. It's a commercial. You're up against, there's 45 theaters in this 4 block radius. So you're up against many shows. And theater owners are sitting with 7 shows deep waiting to come in. So there's only so much time a show can stay open. And the costs are very, very high. Here, I mean, it takes such courage to produce theater. And it takes money. And it's just it's hard. Venues are hard to get. Theaters are hard to get. And then you have to, they're hard. It's not easy. And so...
Mean Cat Stage doesn't phone you up and say, what are your ideas? I have a couple of slots.
Musicals are really hard to do. I mean, plays, but musicals, it's expensive to do a musical. It's a risk. It's always, it's a risk. And it's not like, I'm going to do a musical, great. There's so many more costs with the musical. Keep adding, right? Because
so are you saying that a place like Broadway can spend more time with that because there's just more money in circulation there?
There's people that are investing privately.
Peter,
that is a commercial business deal. It's not for profit.
And our only private investors here are Mervish and DanCap used to be.
Used to be DanCap. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people I think that are making a go of that, but as far as like that level of producer, no, we don't really have that. And I think it's interesting to me because Toronto is, it feels like we have the audience, I mean, but that's just me I'm a layman. I'm not.
But we have the audience. We see the audience. How many stages has Mervish got running, right?
Yeah.
How many audiences are going to see it? What are they paying to see the Harry Potter thing? So there is the audience and there is the money.
Yeah.
How do we, it's the old dilemma. How do we take that over into new production, Canadian production, right?
Yeah.
Come From Away? Okay. It found a way
Come From Away
through that.
That's a success story, isn't it? That's a wonderful success story. I mean, that's fantastic.
But its costs must have been lower, right? A simpler show.
Well, I think Come From Away very quickly was produced in the U.S. I mean, it was,
and that gave it the legs in order to have it longer.
Yeah, like you're going to need to have some serious resources behind a musical in the U.S.
And we just don't have scale to have those resources.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I always talk to people. I keep thinking, wow, they want to produce. Like, I think they, want to invest in theater But again, it's just such a crazy time. I think it's going to take time for us coming out of COVID for people to invest in theater again and, to...
Invest in production or invest in the $210 ticket to see?
Invest in coming, yeah.
Incoming,
yeah. Yeah, that's taking time.
Because the Harry Potter is selling really well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
that's a brand. I mean, let's be frank about that. That's a brand. That's a movie brand, a book brand, everything brand. That's a tried and true. That is... I wouldn't look at Harry Potter. I mean, it's not a terrible risk, I mean.
But is it a musical?
No, it's a play with music, and it's
It's a play-
beautifully
yeah,
done. It's
yeah.
it's a hybrid. It's a really
Yeah.
interesting piece. It's a
Right.
great piece, actually. And what I say about the event, earlier we talked about, that's an event, you know?
Yep.
That's an event.